Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Irn-Cru podcast, a podcast made in Scotland by NFL lovers. You're listening to and watching the news crew. And I am your host, Brian, the conscience of Cleveland Donlan. I did warn you that I was laying claim to that moniker, and I fully intend to have it. Tonight, we are going to be talking about all of the latest news, who is looking like they are making good moves in the tail end of free agency as we're moving towards it now. We'll be having a chat about our statistic of the week, and we are going to be talking all things moves in terms of the... Is it fair to still call it the quarterback carousel at this point in the year? There's not that many of them left on it, but by God, we've got a couple of decent names on it. This is great as we get to watch the Green Bay fan that we've rolled back out for this one just shudder in the corner.
Stay silent for now.
So, everybody, subscribe. If you're watching us on YouTube, give the stream a like. That'd be fantastic. And follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, YouTube, all the usual places. Now, as always, as you can see and doubtless hear there, I'm joined by some of the finest members of the crew. First, we have got Studs. He is the heartthrob from Hamilton, although admittedly, I've got absolutely no idea if that is the hearts of others throbbing or if he's just had a wee bit too much of Andy Reid's barbecue and his own heart's a bit to get up him. Studs, how are you doing this evening, mate? Studs, you've muted yourself like an absolute pillock. See, ladies and gentlemen, this is the type of high production value you listen to this podcast for. Studs, give that another blast for me, mate.
Aye, that's a great start. I was just saying as well, it's not even barbecue for Big Red, it's cheeseburgers, so that'd be right off my menu, not being a cheese fan. So it's, I'd stay away from the cheeseburgers, but other than that, I'm all good.
I forget that you're a deviant that doesn't eat cheese. Weirdo. Something else just to remember before you listen to him, folks. We are also joined, ladies and gentlemen, by our resident cheesehead Liam on one bit of cheese to another. Now, Liam might not put the green in Green Bay, but he certainly puts the pack in. I will pack the bag bloody for you, Rogers. So, how are you doing tonight, Liam? Mate?
I'm doing well. I'm looking forward to talking some shit. So, it'll be good fun. So. It's been relatively quiet, but the saga continues.
Well, fear not, mate. We will. You will be given your moment in the. I don't know actually if it's fair to call it a moment in the sun. That sounds like it's a good thing.
I'll be back in about 4 weeks and do the same chat again.
So you can go for a darkness retreat and you can come back out again. Yeah. Right. Well, ladies and gentlemen. As is our want, as we like to start the show and get ourselves all nice and warmed up, we have got our kickoff question for this week. Now, the wonderful world that social media is posted an absolute cracker that reminded me of something to use for our kickoff question this week. So it paid me a visit, and there was the throwback to one of the world's worst. I was going to say the world's worst NFL excuses, but I actually think I can probably say it's one of the world's worst sporting excuses, point blank. I think this is one of these rare instances where we can spread this one well out beyond the shores of the States. So way back when Ricky Williams blamed Pot for his failed drug test, and he came out with the immortal line of, "I got high and I forgot that I wasn't supposed to get high." So, gentlemen, to put it over to yourselves, what do we think? On you go.
I was going to say, is that not a line in the Afro Man song?
Listen, I'm fairly certain when he made it, he did own royalties. So the big question is, what is your worst ever sporting excuse or NFL excuse that you've ever heard? Studs, why don't we kick this one off for yourself, mate? You did say that you had some ideas for this one.
Mate, I've got a few to go through, so I'm actually quite happy. If Liam's got one he rattle through, I've got a couple of absolute pearlers, to be fair, and I feel I'm going to piss a good few people off with them. So.
Right, do you know what? It's a rare moment when Studs is willing to step aside and let another man have the spotlight first. So do you know what? We'll take him up on it, and he's set himself up that his chat better be good, I know. And it's a massive letdown. Liam, on you go, mate. What do you think?
Well, when you're kind of. Obviously, our pre-production meeting that we have, not. told me the question, I thought I'd try to think back, and I was thinking back to back in the day. Do you ever remember 1996 Man United excuse back to Premier League football of losing a game against Southampton, I think it was, and then changing their strip halfway through. It was the grey strip.
That was the green and yellow strip, wasn't it?
Halfway through, they came back out and they still lost the game. And then I think or something like they retired the strip 2 days later or something like that.
That was the the cursed grey strip, wasn't it?
Yeah,
the cursed grey one. That's right. Actually, I'm saying the
totally
green and
forgotten
yellow
about that,
one.
and it just kind of came to me again. I was like, I remember that. So.
That's a belter. I'd completely forgotten about that. That's a cracker of an excuse.
See, to be fair, I just automatically went green, and having a utter dislike for green, I was blaming green rather than grey. As I sit here in my grey Kansas City.
Shocked to hear that you've got any dislike for anything green there, Studs. Do you know, I'll chip mine in then, Studs. I'm going to give you a moment in the sun with this one, mate. For me, do you know, I'm going to keep it contemporary. I'm going to keep it NFL. The best one for me, and I don't even know if you can call it an excuse, but when Lamar had to have a wee couple of minutes to himself to sort himself out when he definitely didn't just have the runs and had to leave a game midway through. And you know, I genuinely, one of you boys can maybe tell me, you can maybe remind me, I genuinely can't even remember what fake excuse it actually was that he came up with. But it was very obvious to everybody that he just had to go and have a wee sit in a toilet for 5 minutes.
Did they not say he had cramp? He was cramping up. Now, I don't care who you are, but see, when I'm cramping, I don't run with clenched arse cheeks.
It's a very specific cramp, that one. There you go.
That one was on my list, to be fair.
I liked Metcalf this season or last season now, owning it though, just going, yep, I just need to go. So
somebody get me a golf buggy. I need to go. I can't even Lamar waddle to the toilet. I need the golf buggy.
You can just hear the stadium announcer calling out, "We have got a code brown, ladies and gentlemen. Code brown. Get this man some Andrex. He needs it." Right. You've set yourself up, Studs. Right. You've promised us the earth. Now it is time to deliver.
Time to deliver. Listen, Lamar was in my thoughts, to be fair. He just didn't quite make my list. So Lamar was on there. But I'm going to start off non-NFL and then I'll go to my NFL ones, which, if we do have any listeners that are on the day, is probably going to piss them off, let's be honest.
Excellent.
So, first one, right, we all know I'm a referee as well. The referee/VAR is against us. I cannot stand that excuse right now. Listen, in Scotland in particular, VAR isn't great. We know it's not great. Referees have got no allegiance to any team. And bottom line is, they couldn't give a shit about the result. They're there, they get paid, and that's it.
Just to be clear, Studs, are you referring to Vatican-assisted refereeing or video-assisted Rangers? just so I know which one you're talking about.
I'll leave that one open to interpretation. See, the best one for it is, and this is where, again, any listeners in the East Coast, shall we say, will be slightly annoyed. Robbie Nielsen's famous one. As soon as he comes to Glasgow, you need to get assaulted to get a penalty in Glasgow, or you need to basically get murdered to get a penalty, something along those lines. Robbie Nielsen is the world's worst for it. As soon as he doesn't get a result of Rangers or Celtic, it goes straight to referees, and it does me nothing, rather than look at his own players first and foremost. So that's my football one out the way. Now,
do you feel better, mate? Do you feel better after that?
I feel better about that one, right? I feel better. Stick up for referees. They don't give a shit. They want to just go on with the game. Now, the first one, we've all kind of roughly come into the NFL around about the same time. Now, throughout that time, and Scud and Danny, avert your ears, the Patriots have been synonymous with cheating. Okay? Allegedly. Sorry, before I get myself in more bother. Alleged cheating, right? One of the first ones I remember was them videoing other coaches' signal calls. And I don't know if you boys remember this one, right? So they were videoing other teams' coaches whilst the game was going on. And what Bill Belichick's excuse after admitting this, I misinterpreted the rules That was his excuse, apparently. So
that makes you think he went to look at the rules though to check he wasn't cheating first of all.
by the way, see, to be fair with Bill Belichick, and I think we've all seen examples of this, they do very much. The Patriots have always had a way of bend, don't break the rules. But that was his, and again, that was a favourite of mine, that excuse. I misinterpreted the rules. I think even South Park done an episode about it where Cartman was a basketball coach or something like that, and that was his excuse. I misinterpreted the rules. So
listen.
it's
Well, it comes up every year. Every year we see it in the league that you're going to have some part of the rules where there seems to be just that wee bit of grey that some team just picks up on. This year it's been the QB pushing from for the Eagles. In other years, it's things like that.
the butt push.
The butt push.
the tush push.
The tush push. Hang on, we need to be getting that trademark. There's money to be made here, boys. There's t-shirts to be getting that printed on. The tush push.
I'm sure the Patriots one was called Spygate, if I remember right. It was something like that. I think it was Spygate.
Right, if we're going to play that game, the Patriots have got that many gates they could open up a B&Q.
Yes. So that's what I say. Listen, we come into the NFL at the same time, and a lot of the times throughout those years, Patriots have been successful, and teams haven't liked it. And again, there's been allegations of cheating throughout that as well. So we had the Deflategate as well, which we'll not go into, with phones disappearing into bins and stuff like that. So that one, again, that didn't quite make my list, believe it or not, right? So misinterpreting the rules.
Hear Danny getting angry for here.
Misinterpreting the rules as an excuse was one of my favourite ones. So the next one that we will all be familiar with, and it almost brought about a rule change, was the defensive PI against the Saints. Ooh. The Rams against the Saints, that missed call. And this is where I'm probably going to piss off Saints fans. Bottom line is, it wasn't a flag. Do you know why? The referee didn't fucking call it. Dry your eyes. Get on with it. You lost the game. Okay? If the referees... if they've not through the flag, it's not a penalty. Okay.
Oh. Right.
Super Bowl again. You're just you're feeling a bit on top of it all.
Listen, I did tell you I was going to piss people off, and again, it'll be good for interaction as well if people are listening.
Why is it no a penalty? Because I said so. That's why no.
Hey, referee's in charge of the game. That's what happens.
Hi, yes, I don't agree with you, but you've got a point.
Listen, it almost brought about a rule change. How did that rule change go with being able to review defensive PI? It was put in the bin a year later. Do you know what I mean? So, listen, there's missed calls in every single game, whether we like it or not. It adds to the excitement. It gives us something to talk about. That one, obviously, being such a high-profile one in the championship game, it is what it is. I mean, we could have been talking about it the year before when the Saints... Well, no, was it the year before, the Minneapolis Miracle? Where if that boy hits Diggs, if the Saints defender hits Diggs, that's an egregious PI call as well. Now, fortunately, he missed him and Diggs just ran onto immortality and we got that Scott Hansen moment. So, as I say, would the Saints really have been moaning if there was a call there? I don't really think so. Or there was a no call there, I should say. I don't think they would have been bothered. But because it was against them, they started crying, and listen, it didn't work for them anyway. Now the last one. On you go, Brian, before I go to the last one.
Right. I'm going to say we've one chucked in here, and one of you boys can explain this one to me because it's we've got a boxing reference sent into us, so it's not my forte. We should have Grant on for this one. Apparently there is one that... I do remember. Even I remember this one. David Hayes with Vladimir Klitschko and the toe. The broken toe.
The broken pinky toe. It wasn't even any other toe. It was the pinky toe.
Because as everybody knows, that toe is exceptionally important when you're trying to punch a large man in the face. Yeah. There you go. So there's another one. Right, on you go, Studs. Round us off. End our segment for us. Give us the belter.
No, you sure you're ready for this one, Brian?
Oh, I'm glad I'm seated because I think I know what it's going to be.
Dirty Dan Sorensen. And listen, again, clean hit. It was a clean hit. Knocked the ball out. Cleveland fans are crying about a helmet to helmet. But let's face facts on this one, right? The bottom line is The Cleveland Browns could not stop because anything was possible for the Kansas City Chiefs. That's the bottom. They couldn't stop Chad Henne. No, even Patrick Mahomes. You put Mahomes out the game in the second quarter. You couldn't stop Chad Henne. That's. I mean, that's.
You're playing against the refs. Playing against the refs. That's what happens.
Nothing to do with it. Sorensen hits the ball. Listen, again, Browns need to get over it just because Baker won a playoff game in Pittsburgh.
I don't dispute he hit the ball. Hitting the ball was fine. It's the fact that he headbutted the guy en route that was my issue.
So again, for me, bottom line is, wasn't a foul. Refs never called it. Deal with it. Yeah, look, he's couldn't beat Chad Henne. That's. I'm not having your excuses about one hit change in a game. You couldn't stop the backup QB.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, we're just going to remember all of this because we're going to wait for some egregious call to go against the Chiefs. We're going to bring Studs back on, and I'm just going to make him sit there and listen to that whole segment again, and then we'll all enjoy him cry.
It will bite me in the arse at some point. I do fully appreciate that, but again, I'll need to go over it at that stage. So that is what it is.
Right. Okay. Well, that is our kick-off question, folks. Now, next thing I'm going to launch, and I tried to find a sound effect for this in the esteemed pre-production meeting that we talked about, but frankly, I couldn't make it work. So this is Brian's brown bull alarm. It's when I was re-listening back to the pod last week, and I realised that I made an absolute catalogue of exceptionally basic errors. So I feel the need to correct the record. And Keith's made me host this week, so I get the chance to, so why not? So Brian's going to hold his hands up and acknowledge the fact that, no, the Cleveland Browns do not only need to wait 2 years to get a first-round pick, we need to wait 3, because Watson was, of course, worth every first-round pick that the universe had to offer. So we are now actually, it's 2026 before the Cleveland Browns will revisit the first round of the NFL draft, unless we trade for something, which is always possible. And then we also had the joy where I actually couldn't get either of my wonderful digs at making fantasy trades right because I tried to date twice and twice I named the wrong team. So
somebody's sitting there like, where's this trade Brian's talking about?
Skimming the phone, nothing's there. So there you are, ladies and gentlemen. So the message that I am trying to give you all is everything I say is probably wrong. It should be thoroughly fact checked before you believe.
Put an asterisk against it all.
I'm just gonna. So I should change the moniker. Brian, the conscience of Cleveland, asterisk Donlan. As much as everybody wants to see me put that in my winners jackets. Right. Okay, folks. We are at a point where we have got Liam back on, and we were actually talking about this before the pod started, that Liam hasn't actually been on with us since the wonderful intention to maybe make a trade if he can possibly decide what it is he wants to do, and he can possibly decide what the details of the trade will be at some point this offseason, maybe. Aaron Rodgers' situation is. So, as our resident cheesehead, Liam, this is your moment. This is your platform, your floor, mate. What in the name of everything is going on in Green Bay? What is happening? Why do we know nothing?
Why do we know nothing? Well, it wouldn't be no fun with Aaron Rodgers if it just went down the next day with it. So it would just be too boring. But yeah. Even I am sick of it now. I can't lie.
So what do you think the Packers are looking for?
I don't know. Well, it was interesting that the owners meeting, or whatever it was called this week, our GM came out and said, Gudikins came out and said, we're not just looking for a first round pick. We're probably not. I think that's just kind of setting up a wee bit, get the fans, get their expectations down. It probably won't be a first round pick, I don't think, by the sounds of it anymore, or if ever was, sort of thing. And then I just think the main thing is just, I don't know. I suppose no one knows, but I think also the main thing they're just fighting over is the contract. Are we going to pick up some of their money, his money still, pay some of it over? I don't know. I don't know what's holding up for so long. But then again, there's all this way through. There's always been this chat about who's got the most leverage, who's in the better position, and there's arguments for and against, but you kind of hear the argument that I suppose the best argument I heard was Green Bay. We're sitting in theory with our QB that's going to be going next season. We know who it's going to be. It's going to be Love, and the Jets don't. They don't have their QB in yet in theory. So really, they are the ones that we've got in theory the leverage. I suppose you could argue that point. So
as a Green Bay fan, what would you prioritize if I gave you the power, if I put you in the hot seat and I said to you, right, you can pick and choose. You can either get some picks back and get some, let's say some reasonable value, but you're going to need to bite the bullet and you're going to need to swallow a big chunk of that, what is a hella expensive contract to do it, or you're going to get a pittance in picks. You're not going to get much back for a 2-3-time Hall of Fame Super Bowl winning quarterback, but you'll make the Jets take the hit and they'll need to swallow the contract. What would you want? What do you want as a fan?
Jackson.
We'll come to that.
I'll tell you that in 6 weeks into the season when Love's playing or not. Like obviously, as a fan, you want all you naturally want all the picks. You want the first. I'd be kidding to say, I don't want the first round pick. Because you want the first round pick. You want to have the highest pick you can get to in theory get the best player available. But I'm sure I said that maybe to Grant on off season. Maybe said it on this at one point. Last off season, the last time round when we did this charade, I thought we should have traded him then. When we should have traded him to the Broncos. I get easy in hindsight to say now, we should have done it. And coming off an MVP season, could you have traded him? Probably not, but we'd have got more capital for him. But now he's come out saying he's 90% retired after before he went into his darkness retreat, he was 90% retired or whatever it was. Again, leverage, we've left a wee bit, we've lost some of it from that. So I think realistically, I would take a second, some conditional picks if he stays on for another season or whatever he does this year. If he gets him to the playoffs, he gets him to the title round or whatever, or to the Super Bowl. Some conditional picks for 2024, 2025. I think you've got to be realistic. We're not going to get. I think it was nice to think we'd get a first round pick. I think it's going to be difficult this year. So.
Well, what about you, Sids? What do you think, mate? What do you think is reasonable value?
Well, I think you're not going to get anywhere near the Russell Wilson trade, right? As much as there's an argument in terms of level of play, dangerous. The two of them are both very, very good QBs in the NFL. But Russell Wilson's only 33, something like that. Aaron Rodgers is going to be 40 at some point during this season, I think. So I think is it Brian Gutekunst?
Yep, that's the one.
Yeah.
Yep.
So his comment is. It was the pronunciation I was worried about. I could hear it in my head, and I'm like, this is going to go badly wrong. But I think, as Liam said, I think his comments are telling in the fact that I think he is realistic in what he can expect to get. I think what Liam says, conditional picks. If the Jets win a playoff game, a second becomes a first, something like that. As a couple of picks, obviously. I do think there's going to be multiple picks in there. But I do think you're probably realistically looking at conditional ones, similar to the Colts with Carson Wentz, essentially.
Is that the level of quarterback we are putting Aaron Rodgers?
Well, the Wentz one's a bit different. The Wentz one's like if he plays such and such a percentage. Let's face facts.
I retract my statement. I want a first round pick.
Look at the market, man. You're comparing him to Carson Wentz.
Not in terms of ability, but in terms of what you could probably expect.
Just in terms of value.
Wentz had to be on the field for 70-80% for that second to become a first. Let's face it, Rodgers is going to be in the field. You're not going to put a percentage on it. You're going to put on, can he win a playoff game? Can he get you to the championship game? Can he get you to the promised land of a Super Bowl? That's kind of where Green Bay is going to get their conditional from. It's not going to be, Rodgers plays 80% of the snaps. Then you're going, because that's going to happen anyway. So I think that's where your conditional comes in. Do you get us to the playoffs? And I mean, let's face it, they were close last year.
Because what given how close they were last year, and we all know how inconsistent the quarterback play in New York was. Hey, look at the kindness. Inconsistent the quarterback play. Did they settle for saying a condition's going to be the playoffs? Did they push that condition all the way out and say, no, we want a championship game?
I would reckon you. When was the last time the Jets won a playoff game?
Oof.
Do you know what I mean? So you're probably going back to the Rex Ryan days, maybe, which is
we'll check that one now.
Plus 10 years, maybe.
2010. 2010. They beat the they beat the Pats. Beat the Pats. There you go. They beat the Pats in 2010.
That's when the Pats were in the middle of their cheating as well. How did that happen?
Sorry,
alleged cheating.
Asterix. Not excuses that we accept.
So, well, there you go. So 10 years since the last won a playoff game, right? So do you put maybe winning a playoff game as a condition?
A victory. Oh, there's a big one. Then you lose to the team that goes on to win the Super Bowl, and then you don't get the pick. Oh,
yeah. Again, you're going to be at the back of the first at that point anyway. So if you're in the playoffs, you're at the back of the first. So let's say I reckon you're talking a couple of conditional picks.
Yeah, I think maybe if we're lucky, maybe one of their seconds they've got, and then some conditional picks. I think realistic. I think.
Send Sauce 2 seconds this year. Send Sauce Gardner.
Send Sauce up. He likes it. He likes that cheesehead.
I wish.
I'm in Jair Alexander in that secondary.
Indeed. All I keep hearing is they keep talking about Corey Davis coming, but then he's a prime candidate to get cut, I think. So
the Jets are trying to get him off the roster.
Corey Davis.
You're going to cut me anyway. Don't think that's really going to swing it.
That's like when the Cowboys were trying to trade Zeke. Hold on a minute, what do you want him? We can get him in 2 days for free.
I think that's going to be the big thing, though, is going to be the contract that Rodgers has got, because from Green Bay, there's definitely a restructure happening. I think Rodgers alluded to himself on the Pat McAfee show where he said, listen, that contract's not going to be an issue or something like that.
60 million guaranteed. Near enough.
Yeah. The other thing we do have for the Packers side is time. I know obviously it'd be good to get the picks this year, but the contract, I don't think it's been set up a way. It doesn't actually get the guaranteed money doesn't come into, or whatever the money is he gets this season doesn't come into play until just before the season starts. So we can go all the way up in theory, all the way up to just before the season starts, and then what the Jets are going to do? Okay, we don't have the draft. Okay, I don't think it will happen that way because I think we want a draft pick this year. But in theory, we could just do that if we really wanted to. But
screw you guys, we'll wait.
Yeah.
So here's a question, and I think I put it on our WhatsApp chat as to what would you find funnier, Liam, as the Packers fan, right? That you in the first round with the Packers pick, you take a wide receiver, a weapon for your QB, and then you trade Aaron Rodgers, or you use the Jets pick to get for Aaron Rodgers to get a wide receiver. So keep him in the door, pick a weapon, and then trade him, or use the picks you get for him to get weapons for your QB.
Really, really aggressively trade up, and take a wide receiver hilariously high, then trade him.
Well, you know, as he's obviously our GM's already come out this again at the meeting there, having a wee bit of a dig already, kind of saying that they couldn't contact Rodgers, when Rodgers was coming out to Pat McAfee, saying, things had changed, no one's spoken to him. So there's already kind of things starting to come out. I think more and more things are going to come out in the wash of some the inner workings of it all. So
it's definitely going to be story of the season. Story of the off season. It's certainly one of the big ones so far.
Again. So the Star Wars
again and again. Right. Okay. Moving us on to another one of the not story of the off season as such, but certainly story of the off season right now. One of the big successes actually, tail end of the season, definitely into the off season, has been the podcast related rise of the Kelsey brothers. And the New Heights podcast, which shameless plug to them. Know that they need it for us, right enough. Sorry, I'm sure they'll reciprocate. It's a fantastic podcast, lots of great things on it. But there was an absolute highlight recently. We know that it's the annual league meetings going on at the minute, where the NFL hoi polloi get together and they chat all things NFL. But they also do the yearly Class 40, and it's fabulous. And all the head coaches get together and they take a lovely wee picture. I'm a bit gutted they don't make anybody lie across the front. To be fair, that would have really sold it for me. But what we had on the New Heights podcast was we had Travis Kelce being put on the spot and asked by Jason how many of these head coaches, some of the premier names in the league, could you name? Now, ladies and gentlemen, Studs has actually been quite canny this week so far in the show, and he's been giving it lots and lots of chat about how we all got into the league at the same time and we're all similar in our experience, and he's absolutely at it. This is the same man that was next breath says, "Oh, by the way, I spent time in Kansas coaching when I was young." So, given that he is absolutely at it, I am literally, as we speak, ladies and gentlemen, about to send Studs that very picture. And it's winging its way to him right now. You can catch it up on the Twitter, folks. Jump onto our Twitter. You can see the very photo there. So, Studs, the super fan that you are, how many of these, and I've been into it, and I've done my research, and I've checked, and I've got the answers. How many of these head coaches could you name it? And no pressure. We are making you directly compete with one of your sporting idols, Travis Kelce, because I've got a note of the ones he couldn't do with me. So, mate,
so hold on. He didn't name the coaches, if I remember right.
I'll give you coaches or teams. Coaches or teams, either is acceptable. I've got them both in front of me. So you're going to start top row, left to right, then it goes bottom row, right to left. You are mimicking your idol, mate, because let's be honest, you can't run a route like he can, so you maybe can name coaches like him instead.
Right.
So what you got for me?
Right, so you get Staley. Would you want me to, I'll start the same way as
way,
right? So we've got Staley at the Chargers, then Dable, right. Shanahan.
Yep.
Who the fuck is that unit?
That's what Kelce said. This took me time to figure this one out, I'll be honest. I didn't get the answer. You know, got him?
No.
Far as I can tell, that is Josh McDaniels.
Fuck. Vegas. That's how I don't really give a shit about him.
Right, moving on.
Moving on. Is that the Falcons boy, Smith?
Correct. Well done. You've got one up on your hero. One to you.
So you've got Tomlin, then you've got the Bucks coach. His name escapes me.
Yep. Odd Bulls.
Dan Campbell.
Yep.
Right.
Can you get the next one?
Who could it be? I'm trying to even.
Name a team.
Name a team. Go on. You've got this, mate. You've got it. Pick a team.
Is that the Packers? No, he's doing the front.
No, it's not. You're out of time. That is Kevin O'Connell. Vikes.
Right. Then you've got Salah. Then you've got Dan Hansis off the Around the NFL podcast.
Yep.
But you're just agreeing with me. I've literally just said it's a podcast.
Robert Salah. Oh, right. Sorry, I'm on behind you. Right. Next one. Next to Salah.
It does look like Dan Hansis, to be fair.
It's not Dan Hansis. I struggled with this one. I took some searching. Have you got an answer for him?
It's not New Cardinals boy, maybe?
No, I can't pronounce this man's surname, so I'm not going to try. I reckon that's the Bears head coach, Matt
Eberflus.
That's the one.
That's one of the Eagles
next
coaches
to him,
after that. That's the new Colts boy, Steichen.
No, he is further on.
Right. It's one of the Eagles coaches. Who's the other one?
Jonathan Gannon.
That's the Cardinals boy.
Coach. That's the Cardinals boy.
And you've got Zach Taylor. Stu would forgive me if I fucked that one up. Doug Peterson, D'Amico Ryan at the Texans.
Done. Right, onto the bottom row. Go right to left. You're one up on Kelce so far, mate.
Right. Try to think of a funny way how to say this, but it's Mike McCarthy, right? We know that
is indeed.
Right. That's Steichen, then that's the new Colts boy. Then it's Mike McDaniels.
Yep.
Or McDaniel, whatever one it is. I can't. But it's the
Dolphins. That's the one. You got it.
Anyway.
Yep. Right, next one. What you got? Kelce didn't get this one. Give you that.
That's not Vrabel, is it?
It is not Vrabel.
Oh no!
It is absolutely not Vrabel.
Stefanski.
It is indeed Kevin Stefanski.
And you've got Granda Pete.
Yep. Got a run of these ones. Even I could do these ones. And I'm hopeless at these games.
Right, I'm trying to think of a team.
So you've got Pete Carroll. Who's next?
Carroll.
Let's keep it going. What are you reckoning? See, this is where the people on the
I've
Twitter...
no idea who that is for Darth Vader.
That is John
Genuinely.
Harbaugh.
So it is, fuck, Ravens boy.
Yep.
Then you've got Darth Vader. Then you've got Big Red.
Yep.
Riverboat Ron, Sean
Yep.
Payton.
Yep.
Spice Boy 2.
I'm accepting both of those answers
Sean
as
McVay,
correct.
and then you've got
Give me the team.
Pal. Who's the other one off his coaching tree? The Packers coach. LaFleur.
Correct. Right, this is the last one that Kelsey didn't get.
Right, so you've got McDermott last.
Yeah, so you got McDermott. Yeah, there you go. Right, so you're second to last.
Some size of forehead, by the way. It's like fucking deck
Well,
on deck.
We're going to talk about some size of things in a minute. There's something to be noticing in this picture.
Right. There's no Vrabel in it. I noticed that, by the way.
I think that's Vrabel. Now I can't be certain because it's not really something I know as well, but I think that's Vrabel.
Seriously, that just
It looks
doesn't look.
it's as closest of the guys left. I've lost my list of who was left. That he looks the closest to them of the coaches left standing. That's the best likeness I can find. But I am very certain that there is somebody out there in podcast land or somebody out there on the Twitter who can tell us who that is. Now,
There's only 29 coaches. I don't think that's Vrabel.
There is only 29 there. There's 3 that didn't turn up. So, well done, Studs. Super fan status achieved. You have beaten Kelsey by 2 correctly and 2.5 if I give you Stefanski, even though I had to cough at you. So you would get that one. No, sorry. Tell you what, tell a lie. I'm lying. You win by 1 because you got Arthur Smith and Shane Steichen, which Kelsey didn't, but you did not get Harbaugh, which he did. So there you go. Now, the one bit, and I'll leave this one for the viewers. You've got this in your phone as you look at it, Studs. All I am going to say to the ladies and gentlemen is that if you look at this image and you zoom in on a certain Mr. Payton, all you need to know is that Mrs. Payton is a lucky lady because that man looks like he is, he might struggle to get up in the morning. Those chinos are snug, and I ain't sure they're skinny fit. So, fair play to you, son. That's an impressive effort you've got going there. Right, okay, gents. It is time to move on to the news of the news of the day. So, obviously, we've had the league annual meeting. We've had one big thing that has came out of it. So Thursday night football, the much maligned Thursday night football, we have moved from having, the way the rules are at the moment is that teams can have once per year, they can have Thursday night football on a short week. That's now being changed, that teams can get that twice a year. They can have a short week in Thursday night football, and the league is now able to flex Thursday night football games. Something they've been able to do for a while with primetime Monday night games. But they are now able to do it with Thursday night football as well. So the big question here, gentlemen, is this a money move? We know that Thursday night football last year was acquired by Amazon for the princely sum of $1 billion. We also know that thanks to the scheduling of it last year, it was mocked viciously by everybody, and it deserved it, to be very fair.
Commentators.
Aye, it was a bit of a joke. And this is something that fans don't like Thursday night football tremendously much in general. Players have certainly been out. Your very own Pat, no less, has been out criticising this move in the media. So what do we reckon, gents? Is this something that's a good move for the game, or is this just shamelessly trying to appease a Mr. Bezos and give him his money worth? What do you think, Liam? You give me your thoughts, mate.
I think it's all money, isn't it? You got to say. I suppose we're slightly biased to this side of the pond. Thursday night football is a bit of a pain for us, shall we say? But for the players as well, like having two short weeks. Okay, if you get through it, you get the other side. You get too many buys, I suppose. You get the benefit of that, the other side of it. But I think it's just going to cause more injuries. Surely it's going to cause more injuries.
Yeah, you would think. You would think so. Studs, out yourself, mate. What's your take on this one?
I have to agree. I think it's a total money move. Let's be brutally honest about it. It's when you've got the legendary Al Michaels sounding like he's watching a dog run out in front of a road try to commentate in a game.
Now, ladies and gents, it's worth noting that we don't give him these lines. He comes up with this on his own.
Who was it? It was on me. Who was it? Tony Dungy, and he literally he could not have sounded any less enthusiastic on one of the Thursday night games. And I mean, Al Michaels is a great commentator. I love listening to him normally, but it just shows you the level of shitty games that was on Thursday night. So
does that mean the flex is then good?
That's where there is a. I'm trying to think how to word this.
Is there an argument to be made that giving them the ability to flex Thursday night? Because we could all look at those Thursday night games, and the Broncos were on them like 4 weeks in a row or something mad, and it certainly seemed that way. But we all know that before the season started, the Broncos were the hot ticket. Nobody expected Denver to be that big a dumpster fire this year. So is having the opportunity to flex it going to be a big help?
I think having the option to flex it certainly helps appease Amazon. It certainly helps get better games on, which, as Liam said, probably doesn't suit us, to be honest, because we want to watch good games as well. And Thursday night, having to get up for work on the Friday is a bit of a pisser, let's be brutally honest. So, and then watching the highlights isn't the same. It really isn't. So that side of it, from an Amazon perspective, yeah, flex is a good thing because it gives them better games, gives these commentators who they're paying fortunes for better games to work with. So I do get that side of it. The fans are and I know the NFL said they do think about the fans and things like that, and they won't impact the fans as such. But you can't tell me that if, say, the Chiefs versus the Chargers is a Sunday night game or a Sunday afternoon game, there's Kansas City fans who'll plan their trip to Los Angeles and then suddenly the NFL flexes it to the Thursday night.
Well, they need to give 15 days notice to flex a game. So, yeah, some fans that will definitely not work for them because fans will make plans as soon as the schedule's announced. But at least it's not the same week. You do need to give more than 2 weeks notice slightly.
Yeah. No, I do get that, but as you say, fans are going to be circling certain games, and I'm obviously using the Chiefs as an example, but there's a lot of very good travelling supports in the US, and you see that when they're taking over stadiums, and these fans are earmarking certain games, your Vegases, your big cities that they've maybe never been to, the stadiums they want to visit. They're penciling these in, and if you're starting to have the ability to flex these out on a Thursday, it's going to cause chaos for the fans. Now, if I've booked my tickets for a certain game and then you move that to the Thursday, you're damn right I'm going to be pissed off. And what's the league going to do about that? Probably jack.
It'll be an interesting one. Does the league carry any form of liability, I suppose, towards the fans if they do that? Question to be answered by people that maybe know more than us, I dare say. Right, moving us on, and we thought the Aaron Rodgers situation was bad. Lamar. Oh my God, I just want you to leave the AFC North. That's all I want now. I just want him gone. So he has announced that he would like traded. He has requested formally to be traded to the Ravens. And you can hear, see, and feel the tumbleweed battering past your window with the rush of teams battering down his door. Now, the Lamar one's obviously an interesting situation. I think everybody kind of knows what he's after at this point, but it's made more interesting by the fact he doesn't have an agent. So lots of the news that we get about these trade negotiations, it's shamelessly leaked to the press by agents. Lamar doesn't have that. I genuinely think it's him and his mum that are dealing with all of this. And not to be disparaging.
Allegedly. Because there was a report that some other guy had been phoning around teams, which had led to the NFL saying that you cannot make a deal with someone who's not a registered agent.
Look, listen, I apologise to the league over that, and I said I would never ever do it again. So I suppose the question is, everybody knows that Lamar is looking for heavy guarantees in his contract. He actually has apparently been out very, very recently saying that he doesn't want a fully guaranteed contract necessarily. He just wants it to be more guaranteed than Watson's.
So it wants 99%.
99.99. So what do we think? Do we think that Lamar is trying to change the QB market, and is that what the league's fighting here? This isn't about Lamar. This is about setting a precedent that the Browns kind of set with Watson, and the league is trying to bite back and stop that being a thing.
I think the league's trying to come back. I think to reset the market again from your good old Browns. Ruining the market.
I'm not saying ruined. We amended.
I think it was the Colts owner or something that came out and said, I think they asked him, I can't remember exactly the question I asked him, but like if he was interested on, would he give a guaranteed contract? He basically came out and said he doesn't like guaranteed contracts. He didn't say he wouldn't go for Lamar, but he just doesn't like guaranteed contracts.
NBA and stuff,
NBA, stuff like that. This is not something he would like to see happen, sort of thing. Blah blah blah. That's not quoting, but something along those lines. And I think that's probably what they're doing. They're just trying to reset it again, trying to rein it in a bit, bring it back. And unfortunately for Lamar, he's stuck in the middle of all. I think I still feel bad for Lamar. Like he deserves to get paid. It's what he's done. He's been MVP. Okay, he's not won a Super Bowl yet, but he's an exciting player to watch when you see him on the field watching. I'm not a Ravens fan by any means, but it's good to see him. Exciting game, running quarterback at times. Always fun to watch. So, but he's just kind of.
Studs, I'll give you the loaded question then, mate. Do you think that this is an orchestrated campaign? Is there the league or somebody behind this having a wee word? Or not maybe the league, but maybe the owners, maybe have a wee group? You reckon the owners have got a WhatsApp group chat? And they're all having a wee word. Like they booted the Haslam's out of the group chat, and now they're having a word.
I 100% do. I think the owners are, rather than the league as such being back, I think it's the owners. I think the Browns done what the Browns done. They obviously seen an opportunity to try and make their franchise better by dealing in the dark arts.
Allegedly. That allegedly was towards making the franchise better, not towards the dark arts.
So
that's unalleged. That's confirmed.
I do think that the owners are certainly biting back on this one, and it's to Lamar's detriment. I mean, you cannot tell me that Lamar isn't worth probably a bigger contract than Kyler Murray, because let's face facts, Lamar's, as Liam said, MVP. He's been to the playoffs twice with the Ravens, I think.
At least, I'd need to double check. At least twice.
How many times has Kyler Murray been in the playoffs?
How many times has Kyler Murray finished a season?
Has he made it once? I thought it was a 0.
He not get blown out by the Rams. They got blown out. Was that the playoffs?
Well, you might be right. It might be one. I might be doing him a disservice.
But still,
it might have been one in Madden, to be fair, on his esports team or something. So it's. I mean, Lamar's certainly worthy of a bit higher guarantee, I would say, than Murray.
Yeah.
From that perspective, but as I kind of alluded to as well, what I do find interesting is that someone has been phoning round teams offering Lamar, which obviously led to that statement by the NFL. Now, Lamar, the person I believe was named, and his name does escape me, and Lamar said that he hadn't been phoning round teams on his behalf, but then Lamar appeared on a field with him to promote a new in-house gym product that he's working with this guy that was trying to get him sold round about teams, but he wasn't phoning round teams on behalf of Lamar because he's not his agent, and Lamar doesn't have an agent, so it's all very cloak and dagger in that front. But
the interesting one to wind this one up to just fire off a comparison with Lamar and Kyler. Kyler Murray does indeed, well done, Liam. He's got one playoff game under his belt where he rocked up an impressive 55.9% completion rating, 137 yards with no touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and he just sucked badly. Lamar he's got 4 playoff games under the belt. He's taken them to the playoff 3 times. 19, 20, and 21. He took the Ravens to the playoffs, getting as far, never made it beyond the divisional round. Always capped out there. 19, he get beat by the Chargers. Then 2020 made it straight to the divisional round, actually. 2020, they were top. They were top of the division. Get beat by the Titans. Managed to beat the Titans the following year, but then get cuffed off Buffalo. So there you have it. Right, okay, we've got a rapid fire one coming up, gentlemen. I was going to put a wee timer thing up on the pod, but I'll be honest, I've no idea how to do it. So I'm not going to do that because I don't know how to. But you are going to get very limited time to answer, gentlemen. One of the big news stories, one of the news stories of the week is that the number 0 is now available. You can now have 0 as your number. It's Ridley. Ridley has laid claim to it at the Jags. So, what number would you pick and why? It's got to be short. It's got to be snappy. Studs, you can lead us off. It can't be. I'm not going to make a joke I was going to make because it'd be insensitive. On you go, Studs. What would your number be and why, mate?
I said, I'm going to keep it nice and simple. I wore the same number for most of my football career, and it was number 5. So, nice, solid number. I used to play at the back at centre half. It would just be number 5 for me. So, in there with the likes of the legendary Joe Flacco wearing number 5. Any other QB right now has escaped me that wears 5, which is why I've went to Flacco. But
to be fair, Flacco would probably be as good at centre half as he was at quarterback.
Hey, listen, you talk about Super Bowl MVP Joe Flacco.
So I should wash my mouth out with soap.
Yes.
What about yourself, Liam? You can have any number. What's it going to be and why?
I know, I'm trying to think of this one. I've kind of gone down the same route as Studs, going down the football soccer route. Kind of thinking back to my youth days when I kid on, I was good at football. I always wanted to be a number 7. You know, don't have to be a number 9, a classic number 9. Number 7 always had the more skill, flashier player. You know, classically, you know, was it Figo? It was a number 7, I think.
Just one example.
That's a legendary number for the, what do you call them, LSU Tigers. It's an honour to wear number 7 if you're on there. So you're like, say, OBJ, the legendary Leonard Fournette was number 7.
Yeah. Playoff Liam.
I'm trying to play off Liam.
Playoff Liam.
Was Honey Badger maybe number 7 as well, actually, at LSU? I'd need to check that one. But number 7, legendary number at LSU.
Right, well, for me, and this is one again, it's just kind of been the number that I've always liked for things, and I'm really regretting not choosing this. This number chose me because somebody's going to. You're going to jump over this. You'll love it. My number would be 15, and it's not for Pat. It's not because of that. 15 just
always... you were always a sub at football.
I was always the butt of that old joke. What position you play? Left back? What, in the changing rooms? More or less. So yeah, no, number 15 always been the one for me. That's where I would be playing. Our last little bits of news for the evening, gentlemen, as we start winding things down. Marvin Jones Jr. 1 year move to the Lions, $3 million deal. I do love it. He is, and I'm not going to go too into it. He is a wee bit of a running gag in our fantasy league that he always appears. To be fair, he always appears round about at playoff time when you are desperate for a wide receiver, and he gives you production. So 1 year move to the Lions. How much of an impact will he have in that wide receiver room? Questionable at best. But then again, he's always only been a wide receiver 2 or 3 recent days.
Look at the receivers that the Lions have got. You've got the Sun God, Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yep.
You've got Jameson Williams, who's fully healthy after his ACL. So 2 rookies in there. Bringing a glue guy, a locker guy, an old head, Marvin Jones. So I think it makes sense. And as you say, he's wide receiver 3. Absolutely. Do you know what I mean?
He's well thought of in the league. I think locker room guy's the way to put it. He's very, very well thought of. One that you brought up earlier, Liam, I'll give you the honours, sir, on this one, because I was totally ignorant to this. This one had passed me by about a certain quarterback nailing down his slots.
Yeah, apparently the Falcons coach and GM or owner came out and said that Ridder's going to be the QB1 for the season. Apparently, whether that's a stop asking us about Lamar chat more than anything else, we will see. But I thought that was quite I know he kind of came in the end of last season. I don't remember him doing. I'll be lying to say I saw much anything, but nothing bad, nothing good. I think I'm going to summarise it with. So yeah.
I think that's fair, mate. What do we think about that one in terms of the Falcons are sitting at 8th in the draft? Do they use this rather and try and grab one of the project QBs? You know, do they look at somebody like a Richardson, who, as much as he's a athletic freak. And bizarrely, I mean that in a nice way, which is a bit odd, but he's not the finished article in terms of quarterback. His college career really hasn't shown him that much there. But he's the kind of guy that you want to sit on a bench for a year, 2 years. Is Ridder the man to sit behind and train up? It's an interesting one.
I don't think they go for a QB, if I'm honest, the Falcons. I think you're more likely to go with Ridder, see what happens. If he's stinking, then they've got a higher pick next year. I don't know what the QBs are like, but
there's one and I've forgotten his name. There is one generational level QB next year who I am sure someone on the YouTube or the Twitter can throw a name at us and remind me. But there is one goodie. So 101 next year looks like it might be QB heaven. Right, our last item, and this is a nice one. I really like this one. So Calais Campbell, sticking in the theme of the Falcons. He's making his trade over that way, and apparently the thing that sealed the deal, we are so used to things like the Watson trade, like Lamar, where it's how much money will you give me, how much money will you guarantee me. Calais Campbell, apparently the big thing that did it for him was finding out about the charity and community work that would be expected of him and that he would have the opportunity to do as part of the Falcons organisation. Apparently, this was a 40-minute phone call that he had with the Falcons front office coaching staff about what he would be able to do in this capacity. And you need to tip your hat to the guy. You know what I mean? Calais Campbell's a hell of a player. He will have had a fair few offers, and I'm sure they would all have been offering him a lot of money. For that to be the determining factor, you know, fair play. Is that the kind of thing we need to see more of in the NFL and in sport in general? What do we think, boys?
I think that's a great move, and it's a measure of the man. Let's be honest. I think he's already a Walter Payton Man of the Year winner, and I think things like this just show you exactly why. He's always been, whatever team he's in, he's always been a big factor in it. Obviously got to the Super Bowl with the Cardinals very early on in his career and has never quite got back. I think he got close with the Jags in the Blake Bortles era. Just to throw that name in there.
What days, what great days.
So I think he's another one of these guys, though. He comes across very well when you see him on Sky Sports and getting involved in the commentary and the media work. Comes across very well, comes across very likeable. I think he is also another one of these locker room guys that you want in there. The Falcons certainly look like they're probably in rebuild mode. So getting
just a wee bit.
So I think having somebody like Campbell in there to be the voice to these rookies coming in, or these first year players, second year players, somebody like him in there working with these guys in the D line, I think is only going to help that Falcons defense. And I don't actually think the Falcons defense was that bad, if I'm honest. I think they were actually getting better as the season went on. So good piece to add.
He's a hell of an addition. Right, Liam, I'm putting you on the spot, mate. I'm giving we have no Canadian cadre this week. So we're going to move towards the tail end of the show, ladies and gentlemen. And we are having, as is tradition, our statistic of the week. This week it is brought to us live from Liam. What have you got for us, mate?
I know I was put under pressure when I was told I had to do this. This week, I was like, we'll go find someone. So I kind of went down a wee rabbit hole, I suppose. So it's kind of two parts to it, kind of related, all draft related. I thought we're coming up to draft month, nearly April. So I was looking to try and see with the number one overall pick, what benefits do you get with a number one overall pick? What actually does that give you? So I want to see
a terrible landing spot.
Well, I can see. Well, after you've taken the pick, So what? How many teams after the number 1 overall pick? Let's see if you can get this. Have made the playoffs that season in the Super Bowl era? How many teams?
Oh, so teams that have had
Had the number one
one
overall pick
and made the playoffs.
and then made the playoffs after taking that draft pick.
So you were a tire fire the year before. You've got, or else well, you could trade up. You could trade in for it.
You start thinking about it.
Trade into the number
I
one.
reckon you're sub 5.
Right, Studs, I'll let you have your guess first, mate. On you go.
I'll go close to 5. I'll go 4.
Right, I'm going to be a little more. I think there's going to be some sneaky teams because the whole Super Bowl era. I think there's maybe been some teams that have traded for it, had identified need, maybe had a middling year and aggressively went for it. I'm going to go 8.
Well, Stud's the winner there.
Oh,
three teams have made it.
3. I was between
Only
2 and 40.
And you're on the right track though, Brian. Two of the 3. First one is the 1978 Oilers, who finished the season before 8-6, I think it was, and then traded up for the first round pick.
There you go.
They got to the FC title game, lost. And then it was the 1991 Cowboys, who finished 7-9 and then traded up again from the 11th position, I think it was, up to number 1 pick. And then it was just last season, the Jags had the number 1 overall pick, and they surprisingly probably the first team to have been a tire fire.
They were a tire fire. They were a tire fire.
They had a coach that was interested more in college co-eds than he was coaching an NFL team.
Well, that's allegedly.
There was no alleged about that one. It was
there's photographic evidence in that one. We can take the asterisks away.
But then I was trying to build on that and kind of look again, but a bit more number 1 pick. And everyone goes on about QBs being what you want to draft up. Panthers done it this year. They've traded up to get a QB. But again, how many QBs who were drafted number 1 overall have made it? I've won a Super Bowl. Now I'll give you I'll give you a wee bit of context. There's been 34 QBs drafted as number 1 overall pick. So you've got 34 QBs that have been done. How many of them have won a Super Bowl?
I'll take the first guess in this one. And I was the eternal optimist last time, and I'm going to be the eternal pessimist, and I'm going to say none.
Well, Eli Manning was a number 1 pick, and he's won 2.
He's won.
So your none is completely wrong.
There I was thinking I was just swing the opposite way, and it would do me better. Right, on you go, Studs. What's your punt? I'm out. So what's your punt going to be, mate? Wind up the pod on a high note. With one of us showing they know anything about the NFL.
34. I'll go about 8 this time. I'll be a bit more optimistic.
He's on the ball tonight. It was 9. Went off again. 9.
Look at this. Look at this.
But there are some caveats to this because 2 of them. One was David Carr, who was a backup for Eli, but he was backup, but he still won the ring.
He won the ring still.
Then Drew Bledsoe was a backup for good old Tom Brady.
And Bledsoe was the starter though. Was he not the starter at the start of that season? And Brady come in. So
I know he was drafted first, but he was traded straight away. Was John Elway? He was drafted by the Colts and then traded to Denver, but then went on and won it. So
there you go. Well, there we go, folks. That's else I note to end it on. So we've demonstrated 2 things. 1, Liam can find a cracking. 3 things. Liam can find a cracking statistic of the week. 2, Brian knows nothing. And 3, Studs is quite good at the all statistics game.
That's how you started the pod, wasn't it? With your asterisk anyway. So.
Brian Bill to finish. Brown Bill.
Brown Bill to finish. I like the mirror in it. Bookending, mate. We call it bookending. Right. Well, okay, ladies and gentlemen, that is us towards the end of the podcast. Thank you very much for joining us. I have been hosting for you tonight, and I've been Brian, the conscience of Cleveland Donlan. Liam, thank you very much for joining us tonight, mate. I hope you've had a good evening in the pod tonight.
Always a pleasure, and it's been great. Good chatting.
Fantastic. And Studs, as always, mate, a pleasure to have you on and have you bestow your evidently depthless wisdom upon us.
Now remember that when I say, remember I says at the start, referees are always right as well. So remember that wisdom kicking back in, and don't forget your asterisks at the end of your conscience part.
Absolutely. Right, well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us. Remember, the crew will get you through the rest of the off season. And remember, you can always get in touch with the crew on Twitter at Irn-Cru, on Instagram at grid_iron_crew. Help join the community, give us a like, give us a subscribe, and get in touch. And until next week, I've been Brian, and we will speak to you all soon.